If you wanted to be there, you guys are looking worked up.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Committee of Adjustment meeting for the Township of Georgian Bay for July 11, 2025. I hereby call this meeting to order at 10 a.m. Before we begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we are working in the lands traditionally occupied by the Indigenous peoples. Indigenous people continue to care for this land and continue to shape our township. We show our respect and will continually honor the treaties that were signed as we consider our decisions and actions. Before we begin, I would ask any members if they have a declaration of pecuniary interest or conflict of interest. Okay, seeing none. Everyone has had the opportunity to review the meeting minutes of our June 6, 2025 meeting. I will read a resolution. It is moved by Member Matthews and seconded by Member Rivet. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves the minutes of June 6, 2025 as circulated. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried. This morning, there is a public meeting scheduled for 4 consent applications. If you wish to be notified of the result of the decision of these applications, please add your name to the list in front of the desk, or if you are connecting with us online, you can send us an email. I'll briefly summarize the procedure to be utilized for the meeting. First, the clerk will advise the committee as to when, how, and to whom notice of each of the hearings was circulated for the applications being considered. Next, each of the applications will be considered separately. Planning staff will advise of the purpose and effect of the applications and provide any information that is relevant. The clerk will summarize any correspondence on file, and from there, the applicant may make a brief presentation if they so choose, and the public will have an opportunity to speak to the applications as well. After the public forum, the committee will then deliberate on the proposed application and consider a motion to pass, defeat, or defer the application. The consent applications this morning being considered are B2407 and B2408 for 206 Wild Rice Trail, B2503 for 818 Haskets Drive, and B2504 for 822 Haskets Drive. To the clerk, please.
Notice of each application was sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons with 120 meters, 500 meters, or 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may have also been provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act 1990.
Thank you. Our first consent application this morning is B24-07 and B24-08 for 206 Wild Rice Trail. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the subject property has an area of approximately 36,800 square meters and a frontage of 250 meters on 6 Mile Lake, north of Hungry Bay Island. A detached dwelling, accessory building, and dock occupy the lands, which contain a mix of natural vegetation and are densely forested. Granite rock dominates the shoreline. Site visits were conducted on November 1st and April 16th. The lands are designated waterfront in both the district and township official plans and located within the 6 Mile Lake inland waterfront community. The property is zoned 6 Mile Lake Residential Exception 6 and abuts a narrow water body containing Type 2 fish habitat. The lands are located within Stratum 2 deer wintering area, as well as identified as having moderate to high archaeological potential and have a low to extreme wildfire hazard rating, with the majority of the lands having a low to moderate rating. These applications were filed concurrently with the zoning bylaw amendment application. The purpose and effect of the zoning bylaw amendment was to rezone 16,000 square meters of subject lands, being the lands to be severed, from the 6 Mile Lake Residential Exception 6 zone to a 6 Mile Lake Residential Exception zone, which would allow for the lands to have a reduced lot frontage, interior side yard, and front yard setback requirements. The applicant also proposed the lands to be retained, keep the 6 Mile Lake Residential Exception 6 zone, but amend the exception to delete the requirement of a 30-meter front yard and side yard setbacks of 10 and 70 meters, which would be replaced with a minimum lot area requirement of 20,630 square meters and a lot frontage of 135.8 meters in order to prevent future severance without the need for council's approval of a zoning bylaw amendment. The proposal was brought to council for consideration on May 6th and was defeated. Excuse me. Council passed a resolution to deny the application, and the applicant appealed council's decision to the Ontario Land Tribunal on May 27th. As a matter of procedure, the applicant is now bringing forward the related consent applications for the purpose of obtaining decisions. In the event that the consents are denied by the Committee of Adjustment, the applicant would also appeal those decisions and request that the Ontario Land Tribunal consolidate the zoning bylaw amendment appeal and the consent appeals into a single hearing. Excuse me. Staff investigated the origin of the SR6-6 zone and the associated side yards. We found that the bylaw was incorrectly entered into the zoning bylaw 2014-75. It is clear that the northerly and southerly setbacks were intended to apply to docks only. The purpose and effect of the consent applications is to sever 2 new residential lots, resulting in the lands to be retained having a frontage of 135.8 meters and an area of 20,630 square meters, while the lands to be severed each have a frontage of 61 meters and an area of 8,000 square meters. Objectives of the waterfront area include, to name a few, protecting the ecological features and functions of lakes, ensuring the protection of exceptional visual aesthetics, and preserving the overall natural appearance, supporting the development and redevelopment as appropriate, ensuring the character ensuring the character of new development is reflective of or compatible with existing development, and supporting the appropriate economic development. The character of the development is reflective of and compatible with existing development, as the pie-shaped lot fabric is found on peninsulas throughout the lake, and the lot frontages align with existing on the west side of Wild Rice Trail. Lots 2, 3, and 5 have frontages of 61.5 meters, 61 meters, and 61.6 meters respectively. In accordance with the district's official plan, new residential shoreline lots shall have a minimum lot area of 0.4 hectares and a minimum water frontage of 60 meters. Larger lot areas and frontages may be required to accommodate the proposed use, address environmental constraints or land use compatibility matters, or in consideration of lake character. The plan further states that area municipalities shall establish policies in their official plans that establish a variety of lot sizes and frontages that are reflective of environmental constraints and other considerations, including that shoreline lot should be of sufficient size to accommodate the use proposed and be able to support the construction of a dock. Shoreline lots should be sized and designed to recognize environmental, human-made, or other influences, including soil, terrain, water quality, and fish habitat, and hazard constraints, among others. The lots will be of sufficient size to permit a detached dwelling use, and in accordance with the Township zoning bylaw, each lot will be permitted a dock, subject to size limitations. The proposal balances the district's objectives of protecting ecological functions and features, visual aesthetics, and the natural appearance of lakes with accommodating single-unit residential development. By mirroring the existing pie-shaped lot fabric and aligning with established frontages, the proposal ensures compatibility with the surrounding development. The lot fabrics exceed the district's minimum requirements, and planning staff are of the opinion that the application conforms to the district's official plan. The goal of the 6 Mile Lake Inland Waterfront Community is to provide land use planning policies that protect the natural heritage and aesthetic integrity of 6 Mile Lake while accommodating a limited amount of new development. The visual impact of development from the water is an important parameter in maintaining the character of the lake, and new development will be considered within the context of sound natural heritage planning. Limited new single detached residential uses are permitted in the waterfront community. Consideration may be had for the significant elevation change from the water to the potential 20-meter front yard, which combined with the vegetation and granite rock cliff will assist with screening future development from view. Note that in accordance with the Township's blasting bylaw, no blasting is permitted within 20 meters of the front lot line without approval from council, and therefore the granite rock cliff will be retained. The minimum lot area and frontage for all new lots shall be 0.8 hectares and 120 meters respectively. Circumstances may occur where smaller requirements are appropriate and desirable, in which variances to these standards may be considered, provided the intent of the official plan is maintained. The proposed lots each have an area of 0.8 hectares, however, a frontage of 61 meters is proposed. As supported by site photos, the lands are dominated by mature trees for which those within 15 meters of the lake are to remain as part of the natural state shoreline area. Each lot will also be subject to site plan control, which may be used to ensure maintenance or restoration of vegetation or natural vegetative buffers or provision of landscaping. As mentioned previously, the lot frontages are same if not similar to existing lots on the west side of Wild Rice Trail. Consideration may also be had for the existing lot frontages on the lake, which vary significantly. As noted, the lands abut a narrow water body. In accordance with the official plan, a lot frontage of up to 120 meters may be imposed, and to determine if the lot frontage should be increased, regard should be made for the severity of the narrowness of the channel and the impact of the development on water quality, density, navigation, views, and other matters deemed appropriate by the township. As supported by the district's Lake System Health Water Quality Monitoring Program, the 2023 Annual Report, and the district official plan policies, the water quality of 6 Mile Lake is not a concern. The narrowest point of the channel, based on aerial imagery, has a width of approximately 50 meters. There are 4 other properties on the channel, with only one having frontage solely on the channel. The 3 remaining properties have frontage outside of the channel for shoreline structures and activity areas. In accordance with the township's regulations for development along narrow water bodies, only one dock is permitted per lot to prevent obstacles for lake users. Given that the township zoning bylaw restricts the size and projection of docks on the proposed lots, staff believe the development will not pose any navigation concerns. The applicant has also illustrated potential dock footprints on the lots that not only comply with applicable regulations, but are centrally located between property boundaries and aligned parallel to the shoreline, rather than the more common perpendicular orientation. Lake users on the east side of Wild Rice Trail and Hungry Bay Road can also access the rest of 6 Mile Lake via a second channel located just a few properties south of the subject lands. Excuse me. What happened here? I don't know where this went. It moved it on me. Was I here?
Yeah.
Start here. Okay. My apologies. The development aligns with 6 Mile Lake's goal of balancing natural heritage protection with limited new residential uses. The proposed frontage, combined with site-specific controls for vegetation and granite rock retention, single dock allowances, as well as both primary and accessory building setbacks, will help mitigate visual impact and address narrow water body concerns, ultimately maintaining the character and health of 6 Mile Lake. The table shown here highlights the distinctions between the provisions of the 6 Mile Lake residential zone, the current zoning on the lands, and the zoning proposed through zoning bylaw amendment application Z24-17. To confirm, the lands to be severed will be subject to the same zone requirements as a 6 Mile Lake residential zone and require a zoning bylaw amendment to permit the 61-meter lot frontage, which limits the maximum permitted dwelling width on the lands to 15.25 meters. The proposed lot fabrics are compatible with existing as well as achieve compliance with the minimum lot area requirement and have the same, if not similar, lot frontage as other lots on Wild Rice Trail. Planning staff have conducted a detailed analysis of the proposal based on applicable planning legislation, and we are recommending approval subject to standard conditions of consent, including the applicant receiving a zoning bylaw amendment. In conclusion, it is planning staff's professional opinion that the consent applications are consistent with the Provincial Planning Statement 2024, conform to the official plans, have appropriate regard for the criteria set out in Section 5124 of the Planning Act, and represent good planning. Thank you.
Any correspondence on this application?
Yes, one letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required and will not be issued unless proposal complies with OBC and all applicable law. 12 letters of objection were received from landowners on 6 Mile Lake: Dan Fortin, Dan Orchard, Jack and Marnie Petrie, John Gibb, Karen Petrie, Ken Otto, Mike Bradley, Patricia and David Elsie, Peter and Joyce Erb, Robert McKean, Tim Gibb, and Tracy and Jeff McMillan. One letter was also received from the District of Muskoka stating they would not be opposed to the approval of the applications. The applicant and their agent are online.
Good morning, Chair. I can't hear you, but I'm assuming you were.
Microphone.
There we go.
Somebody forgot to turn on my mic. Can you hear me now?
Good morning. Yes, I can.
Well, good morning, Ms. Lemieux. Please go ahead if you have some comments on this application.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good morning to you and, of course, members of the committee. For members of the public who may be in attendance, my name is Victoria Lemieux. I'm an associate with Morgan Planning and Development. I'm here this morning on behalf of the applicants, Bill and Cindy Reynolds. Firstly, of course, thank you to staff for their detailed staff report and presentation this morning. Chair, I believe that you've been provided a very thorough overview of the applications and the status of the overall project to date from staff's report as well as the presentation. So, of course, I will keep my comments brief. The proposed law fabric that's being proposed to the committee this morning is, as mentioned, very similar in nature to what currently exists in the surrounding area. We are requesting lots that meet the minimum lot area requirements of the 6 Mile Lake Community Group plan, as well as those the proposed lots having site plan control, which would be utilized, of course, to retain that mature vegetation that you saw in a number of the site photos that staff provided, as well, of course, the site plan control process would as well continue to control both shoreline structures, as well as ensure that no shoreline front yard structures would be proposed on the new lots as well. Again, further trying to ensure that we are retaining that naturalized overall aesthetic of these lots for the surrounding members of the public. So as recommended by Township staff, the consent applications, as advised, meet all applicable planning policy, provincial, township, and district, in our opinion, and therefore we do request that they be approved, of course, subject to the successful approval of the associated zoning bylaw amendment through the Ontario Land Tribunal. So I'm here for any questions that members of the committee may have, and of course to listen in on any comments provided by members of the public. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Lemieux, is the owner present, and does he wish to make comment?
Thanks, Chair. I believe the owners are listening in, but I don't believe that they intended to make any comments this morning. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any member of the public, either present or online, that wishes to make comment regarding this application? If you do, please step forward to the microphone. You'll need to hit the little button in the middle to turn the red light on. And if you would mind, identify your name and address, please.
Good morning. My name is Ken Otto. Represent my family, Julie, and sons Alex and Jack. I am the landowner across the subject lands from the channel at 144 Island 360. Thank you for allowing me to speak. In advance, I appreciate your patience to listen to my story. This application and process has brought great strain to me and my family, and I apologize if my words are at times emotional and intense. We have built our dream cottage in paradise. This application, if approved, destroys that. I'm here to talk about life on the channel. I am the landowner directly across the 41.5 meter channel from the subject lands. I am the landowner that Morgan Planning Report and the Reynolds say won't be negatively impacted. Well, I am here to say that's not true. I'm not here to talk about the egregious changes and the proponents and their agents' intent to willfully ignore and make misleading statements to the 6 Mile Lake community and township. You know this sets dangerous precedent. I have faith that you'll use sound planning processes to engage the community. Let's be clear, the Reynolds don't live in the channel. Morgan Planning doesn't live in the channel. Town planners, in all due respect, don't live in the channel. I do. So I'm going to tell you two stories. Permit me to tell them. First story is the no wake zone buoy. A few years after building our cottage and dock in the protected bay, our bay is protected, we tried to inform and remind boaters of the no wake zone in the channel. We had seen other go slow signs around the lake and thought that'd be appropriate. We installed the no wake zone buoy 5 feet from our shoreline, consistent with navigation laws. In fact, it was located over a dead, partially submerged stump that I've seen people almost kill themselves jumping over. What happened after is a reflection of how boaters will behave in that channel. Believe it or not, the police were called to investigate. Lake Association executive came to my dock, pleaded with me to take out that buoy. My family was assaulted on social media, including threats to my children at the marina. Eventually, after conversations about selling our cottage, we took out the buoy. Why am I telling you this story? Because it reflects how boaters view the channel. It is their right, habit, and custom to speed through it. So docks and cottage activities at the end of those docks will be in danger. Lake behavior will not change. It is a matter of if, not when, someone will be run over and killed. The tree story. Several years ago, after a storm, a tree on the subject lands fell into the channel, the Reynolds lands. It extended out into the channel about the same distance of the proposed dock. In fact, the stump of that fallen tree remains in one of the proposed dock envelopes. For about 3 weeks, I witnessed tubers and water sports participants and almost hit that tree. I also witnessed people changing their behavior. Did they slow down? Did they avoid the channel? Nope. They just veered closer to my dock and my raft. For 3 weekends, I could not swim in that channel. I had to tell my children, don't go out there, you're going to be run over. The fallen tree on the subject lands did not bother the owners. Their dock is located well away from the channel. It did not impact them. Again, why am I telling you this story? Because this will happen if any dock is located in that channel on the subject lands. Don't be fooled by the picture. Read the words. The words they're using is that dock will project 27 meters into the channel. Don't be fooled by pictures and what someone is saying. In fact, it's going to be a lot worse. I sent you pictures in the presentation. I wish I could send you a video of my pontoon boat that would be running over people if those docks where they are proposed. I'll make one final point. If this severance is granted, all of you are endorsing and setting the precedent that changing material zoning and bylaws is all good. If these rules are okay to be changed, what else? In all due respect for the planner and Morgan Planning consultants that they say, oh, we won't change anything else. Are you kidding me? If we for a second don't think the proponents will subdivide the remaining lands and make further changes to their submission, shame on us. They're asking you to change every major bylaw zoning condition in the world on my lake and at my house. What would stop them from just keep on asking? Nothing. I conclude, nothing about that proposal is consistent with the 6 Mile Lake community wishes or desires. The Morgan Planning Report, this proposed lot will contribute out to the rounding out of the community by allowing for this large land holding to be effectively developed in harmony with the existing character of the surrounding area and lake as a whole. This is 100% false. We had 23 letters that were originally submitted and 12 letters today, and an army of people behind me. This development will create one of the most dangerous boating areas on 6 Mile Lake and result in accidents. This proposal is consistent with every part of the narrow water body bylaw. It's not 150 meters. It's not 100 meters. It's 41.5 meters. I measured it not using a fancy laser pointer like the Reynolds did. I used an old-fashioned tape measure. Lastly, the planner report says the recommendation report is in alignment with the following strategic pillars: customer experience and community engagement. This is an ambush. Nothing presented in the planner report and Morgan report proves this to be true. It is false and unsupported conclusion. In many respects, I believe this proposal is negligent. I'll do everything in my power to protect the safety of my family. I believe all of you, I believe the Reynolds, I believe the planners, I believe Morgan Planning have a duty to care. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that presentation. Just before you leave, Mr. Otto, I just want to be clear. You're saying that the width of the channel is 41.5 and
yes,
the finished length of that dock will be 27?
No, and I apologize. I'm an amateur at this, but I read the words. I don't look at pictures. The words talk about a dock that would extend, and I don't know the difference between a maximum length of 10 meters or a maximum extension of 7 meters. But I measured, it's in my presentation, and one morning, without impacting any boaters, I dropped a buoy where that dock would go. I took pictures, it's in my presentation. You're gonna run right over that dock. And notwithstanding kids, boaters, canoeists, using the end of your dock, which we all like to do, they are in the middle of that channel. My bay is protected.
Okay, we'll get some clarification on that as we go on.
Thank you.
Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address the committee? Please come forward and provide us with your name and address, please.
The red light means it's on, right? My name's Patty Elsey, and I live at 166 Wild Rice Trail on 6 Mile Lake. As members of this township, I believe you should be very concerned about the potential precedent this application could set. The applicant and their planner have blatantly ignored existing zoning bylaws, our official plan, and our community plan. They have used the example of existing small lots on our lake as justification for their proposal to sever their lot into lots with frontages and setbacks that are a full 50% smaller than what is allowed. I would argue that many of these pre-existing small lots were created in the 50s and 60s, and certainly before 2014, and much has changed on our lake since then. Instead of visiting on weekends for 2 or 3 months a year, multi-generational families are now living here full-time, which puts a strain on the lake environment. People in general now are far more aware and educated nowadays about the detrimental effects of development density along the sensitive ecosystem of a shoreline. The fact that current official plans and zoning bylaws support new larger lots reflects this awareness and desire to protect the environment. Just because there are smaller lots on 6 Mile Lake, they don't suffice as justification to create more. Approving this application would be a huge step backwards for our township and would set a precedent for other small lots to be carved out of existing large lots. Sorry about that. Dry mouth. This application also ignores established precedents. In 2009 or so, another owner on Wild Rice Trail proposed to sever their large lot into several small lots. This was denied by the township and objected to by the Reynolds. The final severance approval was for 3 lots, all with frontages of 120 meters or more and front yard setbacks of 30 meters or more, which was in keeping with the zoning bylaws. At our last meeting regarding this application, Councillor Hazelton reminded us all of a lot severance proposal in Honey Harbor. The township denied that application as well because it would have resulted in frontages of less than 120 meters. The township has clearly shown that the creation of new lots must follow zoning bylaws and community plans. Why would they ignore their own previously established precedents by considering this application? All of us speaking here today have objected more than once to this severance application, and we stand up for all the previous letters of objection. Our presence here is to let you know we have not wavered in our resolve. We are still here. If perchance this application goes to appeal, and it looks like it's going to, we urge the township to look beyond 6 Mile Lake and consider the damaging effect it will have on the township as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ms. Elsie. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address the committee on this application? Please come forward and provide us with your name and address.
My name's Jack Petrie, and I live at 210 Wild Rice Trail. Good morning, Mr. Chair and members of the committee and staff members. Marnie and I live at 210 Wild Rice Trail, which is the property which abuts the subject property to the north side. I'm also the president of the Road Association, which controls Wild Rice Trail and provides access to 12 cottages on our road. On a personal note, both Marnie and I object to the application for subdivision because the application creates lots that will ultimately require further variances. And they do not comply with the 6 Mile Lake Community Plan, the Township of Georgian Bay Official Plan, or the Township of Georgian Bay bylaws. These lots, if approved, will require relief for front and side yard setbacks. The existing property has adequate area for the applicant to apply for a lot which would meet all of the criteria described in the official plan and the community plan and bylaws. So I don't know why the intent is to carve this piece of property up into smaller lots. When these lots were created in the late 1990s in the Medland subdivision, my lot and the Reynolds lot were left as larger lots because of the narrow waterways. And I won't go into that because Ken Otto gave you a full detail on that. But that's the reason why our lots are bigger. And if the intent was, if they wanted to divide the lots up at that time, they would have done that, believe me. So Wild Rice Trail has 12 members who have access to their cottages with by means of rights of ways over each other's property. There are provisions for new memberships if we receive applications, and we have not received any applications regarding that. If we did receive an application, it would have to be voted on by our members, and it is my belief at this time that that would be defeated. So what you would be creating is water access lots. Thank you for allowing me to speak.
Thank you. And again, just for clarification on your comments, the road association that you represent needs to provide approval for road access to the lots that are being proposed?
That's correct. And as a matter of fact, we are in the process of reviewing our bylaws to have them match up with the township bylaws so that they would require the proper frontage on those lots.
Okay, thank you very much for that, Mr. Petrie. Is there anyone else or any other member of the public, either present or online, that wishes to address this?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Brenda Pritchard. My husband, Robert McKean, and I live at 195 Wild Rice Trail, and a portion of our land abuts a portion of the land in question. I'm here, as I told my friends, merely as mop-up, just to highlight a few things that I don't think were discussed, which may in fact affect the integrity of the proposals by the proponent. I guess the first thing to note is that at the time the applicant was given permission to build a bunkie, it was on the condition that they complete the bunkie, it not have a kitchen, and that a full cottage be built within 3 years. My understanding is that that never happened. So this is the integrity of the person who is the head of our Wild Rice Trail Road Association at the time, never in fact built a proper cottage and didn't build the bunkie in compliance. Then we have the issue of everything is fine and we'll get road access, completely ignoring the fact that their original proposal in no way met any of the requirements, not only of the township and the lake rules, but also our road association rules as indicated by Mr. Petrie. The other thing I want to draw to your attention is what we call the sneaky clause. So in their proposal, it says, after showing you these beautiful pictures of these just 2 lots, and then this massive, gorgeous, big lot on the other side, to be clear, the lot to be retained and the 2 lots to be severed will be subject to the proposed SML residential exception zone requirements, which in fact means to me that despite the fact that the Reynolds only have one real safe place to put a dock, which they've already done, their intention is to divide this into 4 or 5 lots. These skinny little hockey stick lots that we talk about. So that is something to keep in mind. We're not just talking about those 2 lots, we're talking about the rest of the land, which they will likely sever. And the final thing I just want to reiterate is the whole measurement issue. It was just so falsified. I don't care whether you used electronic meter measurement, but the fact is they were just arbitrarily measurements at the highest point of the land. And as you know, in a narrow water body, if there's one bottleneck, that's going to be the problem. The narrowest point is going to create a bottleneck. You've got big pontoon boats coming in with kayaks and everything else. So all of his measurements were false wrong. And even the township themselves came in at 50 meters, but I trust Ken Otto's measuring tape a little bit more. So we're talking 41 meters, very narrow water body. And we don't believe that the safety issue can be ignored. You have to live there and have your grandchildren kayaking and swimming in the area just to know how serious the danger is. Thank you very much.
Just one question, Ms. Pritchard, for you. You mentioned a bunkie being built. Was that bunkie built on one of the two proposed?
No, the bunkie was built on Mr. Reynolds' larger property, the retained lands, and it was built, I don't know, anyway, at least 15 years ago, because when we arrived, it was there. And
okay, this was prior to him building the.
yeah, so, and he was supposed to, it was on the condition that he build a full cottage, and he never did. I don't think he intends to stay there at all, but just going to keep severing the lots. That's our worry. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you very much for your comments. There is another.
I'm going to even be shorter than Brenda. My name is Karen Petrie, and I'm at 626 Hungry Bay Road. And I just think it's important for all the committee to understand that the access in and out to the marinas in the bigger part of the lake for all of the cottages on Hungry Bay Road up to the causeway, that's our access point. We can't get in or out unless we go through one of the two narrows. So there's a lot of cottages, I don't have a number, but there's a lot of cottages and boating to take into consideration of who used that access point. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Is there anyone else? Either online or yes, we have.
Well, good morning to everyone here and everybody listening online. I'm Mike Brady. My address is 185 Wild Rice Trail. So yes, I'm on the same road, same community. So far we've concentrated on and talked about the summer boat traffic and the narrow waterways and some of the challenges that boats would have going through this very narrow area. And it is a very busy area as there is only the two narrows that we can use to get from our part of the lake to the other part of the lake. So we're traversing this narrow waterways quite often in the summer. But what I wanted to discuss specifically is, what about the winter? So there's a great deal of us that are avid snowmobilers on the lake and throughout Ontario. There's this great group called the OFSC. Latest data point I could get was 2019. They had about 105,000 members. It's people that buy a snowmobile pass to go snowmobiling. There happens to be a main snowmobile trail that goes across 6 Mile Lake, connects Sea Trail from two different points, and it's a heavily used shortcut to get from Sea Trail in one spot to Sea Trail in another spot. I live right on that. It's 11A, I believe, is the number of the trail, but it is an Ontario Federation of Snowmobilers Club main trail that goes right through that channel. Also goes right in front of my cottage. I'm a little further down on the east side of that peninsula of Wild Rice Trail. It's not uncommon for me to see 40 or 50 snowmobiles go by my place each and every day on weekends when everybody comes up and wants to go snowmobiling. Now, as you may or may not know, there are no speed limits with snowmobiles on lakes specifically, none whatsoever. Because of this, the rate of travel on lakes, the rate of speed can be quite high, and I enjoy it also. You get out on a big flat lake, you want to get to where you're going, and it's kind of fun to go fast. So it's not uncommon going through that narrows to go through it at 100+ kilometers an hour. That would be what I would consider a typical speed. Same thing in front of my cottage, it's a long straightaway. Almost every snowmobile that comes through there is doing over 100 kilometers an hour. And that's great. They're having fun. But you want to talk about dangers. The latest statistics that the OFSC has come out with, between 2010 and 2019, there were 175 snowmobiler fatalities. Out of these 175, and that's just in a 9-year span, out of those 175 fatalities, 45% of them occurred on frozen lakes and rivers. And let that sink in for just a minute. Snowmobiling it's a fun, great sport, but it does come, as with any sport, with its dangers. And there is a rather high fatality rate. And as I just mentioned, almost half of those are occurring on lakes and rivers, frozen lakes and rivers. That's exactly what we're talking about here. When you get snowmobilers flying through this narrow waterways that, I'm sorry, it's not 50 meters. Anyhow, not going to get into an argument over the width of it, but it is very narrow. You've got to give some distance from the shores, especially at night. When snowmobilers come flying through that narrows at night at speed, it's not if, it's when somebody's going to hit a dock. If anybody puts a dock in that narrow waterways, that is an extreme danger. And I've actually witnessed a snowmobile go into a dock on 6 Mile Lake, and it's not pretty. Your headlight doesn't pick it up till you're almost on it, giving you very limited time to do anything. Anyhow, in my opinion, that narrow waterways, extremely dangerous if anybody puts a dock whatsoever in it. It's just going to, it's going to be a problem. Somebody's going to die. And if somebody dies, whose responsibility is it? Thank you very much.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Brady. Is there any other member of the public that wishes to address this application, either present or online? Okay, thank you. Seeing none, I will close the public portion of the application and bring the matter before the committee for any questions. Oh, Ms. Lemieux has her hand up. Ah, yes, I see it now. Please proceed, Ms. Lemieux.
Thanks, Chair. I just before the committee goes into deliberation, I did just want to provide a bit of clarity. I know there was a comment about the bunkie, and I'm sure committee members, when they hear comments about a bunkie, their lights go up. So just to provide some clarification on that, the owners built their current cottage to the maximum size that's permitted for a bunkie, with the intention that if at any time in the future they wanted to build a larger structure, that they could convert that existing structure to a bunkie in the future and take the kitchen out. So the dwelling, what we call the dwelling on the site, is what is being referred to as the bunkie. It was constructed with associate permits and is permitted. Again, I'm sure the committee is well familiar with that type of process. A lot of members of the public in this community will build a smaller structure first to be able to start enjoying their properties before they build a larger structure. So that was constructed with all permissions at the time. So just wanted to provide that clarity. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you for that clarification. I see hands up from Mr. Schmidt and Mr. Yeah.
Thank you, and through your chair.
Now, did you want to wait till we bring it before the committee, or?
By all means.
Yeah, all right, then we'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Graziano.
Thank you, and through your chair. A few points of concerns with regards to this application that I'm going to articulate today. First and foremost, I'm concerned that council's already denied the zoning bylaw amendment application for this particular matter. And if memory serves me correctly, the reasons articulated in planning council were that this is on a narrow water body and with dock restrictions, insufficient shoreline frontage, zoning non-compliance, and potential precedent protection as well. The consent application relies on the amendment to have been denied, or excuse me, rather that the consent application relies on an amendment that has already been denied and is not currently in force. And therefore, I feel frankly that this shouldn't proceed. And to put it simply, perhaps we're putting the cart before the horse. The proposed 61-meter frontages do not meet the official plan minimums for new lots on 6 Mile Lake, which is a concern to me. The official plan, I believe, requires increased lot frontage for developments on narrow water bodies. Again, this does not satisfy that, which is a concern to me. We've heard today from some members of the public that the affected channel narrows could be, or excuse me, there could be affected issues with regards to commuting through the channels, specifically on the narrow channels of approximately, as staff identified, 50 meters, and the community is identified as 41, intensifying potential impacts from dock and shoreline development. And as a water access resident on 6 Mile Lake, with my principal cottage being in the midst of a channel, I can attest to what Mr. Otto had stated with respect to the speeds in which boaters carry through these channels. I'm in a very narrow channel as well, and I've seen recklessness time and time again on every long weekend of boaters flying through with skiers attached to them, with tubers attached to them, ripping through the narrows at incredible speeds. And in addition to that, I would say that, with the fact that we have 2 public launches and a provincial park on our lake, we have a lot of people that are unaware of our channels and how narrow they are and how dangerous they can be. And day trippers launch and just take advantage of the fact that they can wide open throttle through these channels. So I can empathize with the comments made there because I see it every day and within my channel. Other concerns that I have is environmental and visual concerns remain unresolved. And again, I'm quite concerned at the fact that by accepting this today, we wouldn't be addressing those. I've heard that the applicants appeal to the Ontario Land Tribunal, or that they intend on perhaps bringing this forward to the OLT as their planner had mentioned. And I don't feel that this is a valid reason for approval here today, just because they're taking this to the OLT. Rather, again, I'm going to refer back to my earlier comments of perhaps this being, we're putting the cart before the horse. And lastly, I strongly feel that approval here today would send the wrong message to the community as a whole within our township, both on 6 Mile Lake and other lakes as well, and water bodies, encouraging similar applications that disregard established planning standards and council decisions. So I conclude my statements, and I unfortunately cannot support this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other? I see Mr. Member Schmidt hand up. Please go ahead.
Thank you, and through you, Chair Hill. I think most people know I very much respect people's property rights on the lake for people to use and enjoy their properties to the potential, but not at the detriment of neighboring properties that can negatively affect their life. And I don't believe that this potential, especially a docking situation in that narrow channel, it does not affect just the people that live in that back bay. It doesn't affect the people that are fed in from the East Hungary River, I believe is what that's called, coming in behind. My family on a regular evening, that is our boat cruise route. You come through east to west and you cruise through there. I particularly remember when that tree was down in that narrows. It was not a large tree, but it really affected navigation through that channel. And that is not an overly large tree, I reiterate. The amount of time that I've been sitting in this horseshoe, I have never seen a gallery as full of people on the same topic. And I appreciate that you guys took your time out of your day to come here to have your voices heard. I don't consider what is on the east side of East Hungary River to be the benchmark of the long-term vision of 6 Mile Lake. We always hear comments of character, which I know is terrible to try to interpret what that means. But some research, I went back and I spoke to a former councillor Councillor Paul Wienko, and he said that that point just to the east of this property was always the highest sulfate level waters in our entire lake. That is because of intense development on that narrow waterway. Why we would want to support and keep that trend is a mistake for our lake. So I personally cannot support this application. Thank you for your time.
Any other
Yes, thank you. I won't reiterate all of the comments, but I just wanted to mention, in regard to the comments from the District of Muskoka, I know the planner mentioned that the proposed lots of 61 meters meets the district and exceeds the district requirements. However, the district also says they would approve this request if it was satisfactory to the Township of Georgian Bay. But I believe that the district missed the fact that they missed the waterfront policies of 6 Mile Lake. They missed the significant narrow water body, which requires a minimum of 120 meters in that area. And I think that's significant. So I think that if the comments are returned to the district, they would agree with the township in their denial because of that very important water body. The other thing is when I read this, I read that this should have come to us as water access development lots because there is no deeded road access. So I would have liked to have seen this come with the requirements for water access lots. Do they have access to a marina? Because to me, this is not a road access property. So I've got problems with that in the first place. Those are the two things. The other thing, the Morgan planner about the development would match the character and harmony of the lake. I don't believe that. I think that the development and unfortunately the proposed zoning that would rezone the retained property to allow less than a 30-meter setback is going to drastically change that side of that development to nobody's benefit except the owner who's developing it for speculation. That's the only reason I see that property is being developed. The original permission from 2005 to build the bunkie permitted that bunkie providing the dwelling was built by 2008. The main building hasn't been built because they don't have, there's no variance request to put it where they want to put it. That doesn't meet the setback. So I can't approve this. I first thought maybe if it came back to us with one lot as opposed to two, that would be something more palatable. But when you look at the zoning bylaw for the docks that says the docks can't be 5 meters away, any more than 5 meters from the south shore and no more than 7 meters from the north boundary, there's no more room for any docks, regardless of any more lots. So that kind of quashed my consideration for one lot only. So I can't support this, but I did just want to make a comment to Mr. Bradley, as far as the OFSC, I'm a master driver instructor for the OFSC District 10, and I will tell you that the OFSC does not sanction any trails on a lake. If you see a lake trail, that's your club. That's not an OFSC trail. And when it comes to speed accidents 80% of accidents are caused from alcohol and speed. And I'm going to tell you, 2 more docks won't help that. You can't fix stupid from my experience. Those are my comments. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Ms. River. Are there any further questions or comments on this application? Okay, seeing none, I will read. There's actually 2 resolutions here because there are 2. Yes, member, or not member, but Mr. Whitman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and committee. Just a quick comment. I want to thank everybody because we certainly heard a lot of concern, a lot of sincere comments that come from genuine places of concern from the people who took the time to write in and speak to the committee today. However, I do want to say to the committee that I do, as the director of this department, take umbrage to any assertion that staff inserted falsehoods into their staff report and to imply that that may have been done so willingly. Staff apply independent professional judgment, and I know that the committee will give appropriate weight to any such comments. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, and that's duly noted, Mr. Woodley. With that, I will read there are two resolutions that are very similar in nature, so bear with me as I go through them. And you'll notice from the wording that the resolution is to approve the application. Through the committee, we vote either to accept or defeat, but the wording stays the same. So with that, be it resolved, first of all, moved by member Ribbit and seconded by member Jarvis. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby grants provisional approval to consent application B24-08 for the creation of one new lot having minimum frontage of 61 meters and minimum lot area of 8,000 square meters and subject to the following conditions. One, that the clerk of the township provide written confirmation that a zoning bylaw amendment is in force and in effect recognizing the lot frontage. Two, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from the Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property subject to this decision. Three, that the owner pay 5% in lieu of parkland dedication for the severed lands in accordance with Section 51, subsection 1 of the Planning Act of the Township of Georgian Bay. The township shall retain an appraiser for the application at the applicant's expense, and the applicant may obtain an appraiser at their own expense to prepare an appraisal based on the land value to be severed as the day before the day of the approval of the consent decision. And four, that a draft reference plan be completed by Ontario Land Surveyor and a digital copy filed with the Secretary Treasurer for the Committee of Adjustment. Five, that a copy of the deposited reference plan be provided to the Secretary Treasurer. Six, that a draft transfer be prepared by a solicitor and submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in preparation for the creation of a certificate of official describing the parcels by consent. That all fees and disbursements, if any, incurred by the township with respect to the applications be paid for by the respective owners. And eight, that the owner at their cost shall enter into consent agreement with the township regarding and registering upon the subject lands for the purposes of ensuring that site plan control is required prior to any site alteration or development. And on the second application, be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby grants provisional approval for consent application B24-07 for the creation of one new lot having minimum frontage of 61 meters and a minimum lot area of 8,000 square meters, and subject to the following conditions. One, that the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment provide written confirmation that conditional approval of consent application B24-08 is in effect. Two, that the clerk of the township provide written confirmation that a zoning bylaw amendment is in force and effect recognizing the lot frontage. Three, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from the Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property subject to this decision. Four, that the owner pay 5% in lieu of parkland dedication for the severed lands in accordance with Section 51 of the Planning Act of the Township of Georgian Bay. The township shall retain an appraiser at the applicant's expense, and the applicant may retain an appraiser with the following designation to prepare for the appraisal based on the land value of the severed lands as of the day before the day of the approval of the provisional consent. And five, that a draft reference plan be completed by Ontario Land Surveyor and a digital copy filed with the Secretary Treasurer of the Committee of Adjustment. Six, that a copy of the deposited reference plan be provided to the Secretary Treasurer. Seven, that a draft transfer be prepared by a solicitor and submitted to the Secretary Treasurer in preparation for the creation of a certificate of official describing the parcel created by consent. And eight, that all fees and disbursements, if any, incurred by the township with respect to this application be paid for by the respective owners. And nine, that the owner at their cost shall enter a consent agreement with the township regarding the and registered upon the subject lands for the purpose of ensuring that the site plan control is required prior to any site alteration or development.
Point of order. Point of order, Chair.
Yes.
To a question to the clerk, can we request a registered vote in committee?
Madam Clerk. Normally not. Technically,
Sorry,
we're
let me
recording it
double
anyway because the session is recorded.
It means a registered vote.
A registered vote, correct. Is
Very
this
well.
possible or? Thank you.
Do you have any? Do you have any?
I believe you can.
We can do it anyway.
A recorded vote is not permitted within the committee of adjustment.
Thank you.
Okay, should I reread the resolution?
No.
No, nobody wanted that, okay. Having done that, I would ask all members, having heard the resolution, they can vote. All those in favor of approval, please signify by raising your hand. Seeing no hands raised, the motion is defeated and the applications are refused. Thank you. Our next application is. Yeah.
You don't want that.
Okay, our next application is B25-03 and B25-04 for 818 Haskets Drive and 822 Haskets Drive. To the planner, please.
Thank you, and through the chair. Pardon just a moment. The subject properties gaining access by way of easement have shoreline frontage onto 6 Mile Lake. One of the subject properties is currently developed with locally appropriate residential and accessory uses, while the other is vacant. At this time, there's no development applications proposed for the vacant lands. The purpose and effect of the application is to grant easements to provide ingress and egress over Lot 8 for the benefits of Lot 9 and 10, being Easement 1, and to provide ingress and egress over Lot 9 for the benefit of Lot 10, being Easement 2. A single-lane, well-maintained gravel access currently exists within the proposed easement boundaries, providing access to Lots 8, 9, 10, and 11. The proposed easement will create legal access to a vacant shoreline residential lot, being Lot 9 and municipally known as 822 Haskets Drive. Again, there is no development applications proposed for the vacant lot. However, if future applications were made, the lot is appropriately zoned for low-density residential development. The multi-access driveway that extends from Haskets Drive has existed within the proposed easement boundaries since the early development of the shoreline properties in the immediate area. The current owners of the lands municipally known as 818 and 822 Haskets Drive have submitted the applications in order to legalize the multi-access driveway by way of easement. The proposed easements would not result in a physical change to the lands, including any loss of significant tree cover. The committee can either approve or deny the easements being requested. The committee may also defer the application to a later date if additional information is required to come to a decision. Planning staff have completed a detailed analysis of the proposal and are recommending approval subject to conditions. Thank you.
One letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating she has no objections to the application. One letter was received from the District of Muskoka, stating they have no objections to the application. And 3 letters of support were received from Judy Kirk and Dennis Carter, Robert and Suzanne Smith, and Robin Tracy Stewart.
Thank you. Is the applicant present, and do they wish to add any comments to what the planner has presented?
Hello, it's Scott Rogers. I am the owner of 818 and 822 Haskets, which is lot 8 and 9. Just really briefly, I do deem this request to be relatively straightforward and more of a documentation exercise, as there will be no physical changes or usage changes. I have never restricted access to any owner or any visitor utilizing this driveway. The road driveway has been installed for close to 50 years. And again, there's no need for any physical changes. I just deem this more to be a documentation exercise. That's everything for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rogers. Is there any member of the public, either present or online, that wishes to address this application? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Jarvis.
Thank you, through the chair. Just historical curiosity. Obviously, this road's been in existence for some time, and there is a road easement in place. We've had many discussions about that. Do we know what which one existed before the other, by any chance? And why would we have an easement in place? And just hypothetically speaking, if there's an easement there, why weren't they using that in the first place?
Through the chair, we have no history on why exactly the existing driveway diverges from the easement. It looks like the clerk can provide some more context on that.
Sorry, if I may, I'm very familiar with this file.
Oh, really?
Yes. It's not an existing easement, it's an unopened road allowance that we are in the process of selling off and have sold several pieces off. The driveway where the easements cross over the property have been built a path of least resistance historically, and the access over the easements have existed. There were consent applications for this, I think, back in the 90s, and for some reason they weren't registered properly. And so unfortunately, some of the owners, such as Mr. Rogers, have had to come back to Committee of Adjustment to ask for these registered easements to take place.
Sorry for my misuse of words. It was, yeah, the road allowance was there, but okay, just out of curiosity. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I appreciate Mr. Rogers trying to clean up this issue before it becomes an issue. So congrats on that. Mr. Donaldson, there was a lot 11 at the end, although I see that lot is not included on any of the easements. It's 9 has a right over 8, and anyways, lot 11 is not mentioned. Or there's another access that just continues on.
That's existing.
You had a comment, Mr. Rogers?
Yes, that lot 11 does have a registered right of way.
Okay, thank you. Does that answer your question, Member Matthews?
Sorry.
Are you answered?
Mr. Donaldson too.
Donaldson too. Okay, thank you. And I see your hand is still up, Mr. Rogers. Is there something you wish?
No, sorry, just didn't take it down.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I will read the resolution It is moved by Member Jarvis and seconded by Member Schmidt. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby grants provisional approval to consent applications B25-03 and B25-04 for the creation of easements to provide ingress and egress to the lands described as lots 8 and 9 of Plan M468, being parts 2, 3, and 4 of Plan 35R, 24964, known municipally as 818 and 822 Haskets Drive, as shown in Schedule A attached to this decision and subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And two, that this decision applies only to the easements as indicated in Schedule A attached to and forming part of this decision. The easements shall substantially conform with Schedule A. And three, that a reference plan be completed and a digital copy and hard copy be filed with the Township Planning Department, or an exemption from the reference plan be received from the Register. 4, that pursuant to Section 53 of the Planning Act, the certificate of consent be affixed to the deed within 2 years of giving him notice of decision. Note that Section 53, subsection 43 of the Planning Act requires that the transaction approved by this consent must be carried out within 2 years of the issuance of the certificate. And that the owner provide a draft transfer prepared by solicitor describing the legal description of the dominant and servient lands subject to the creation of this easement. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved. Subsequently, we have the following minor variance applications. As I mentioned, A25-17 for 3198 Georgian Bay Shore, A25-19 for 209 Sunrise Trail, A25-25 for 138 Lake Road, A25-26 for 490 Crooked Bay Road, and A25-27 for 169 Lagoon Road. To the clerk regarding notification.
Notice of each application was sent by first-class mail to the respective owners and assessed persons within 120 meters, 500 meters, and 800 meters, and to those persons and agencies likely to have an interest in the application. The notices were sent at least 20 days prior to this morning's meeting. Included in each notice was an explanation of the purpose and effect of the application and a key map showing the location of the property. Other relevant information may also have been provided. These circulations were provided in accordance with the provisions of the Planning Act 1990.
Thank you. Our first minor variance application is A25-17 for 31198 Georgian Bay Shore. To the planner, please.
Through the chair. The subject property has an area of 51,700 square meters and a frontage of approximately 240 meters on Go Home Bay. The lands are designated waterfront within the district and township official plans, located within the Go Home Bay coastal waterfront community. High to very high archaeological potential, stratum 2 deer wintering area, and moderate with partially high wildfire hazard ratings are identified on the lands. The shoreline contains type 2 fish habitat. The lands are developed with a detached dwelling, 2 sheds, a dryland boathouse, marine railway, and a dock. The lands are characterized by granite rock and are forested. The applicant is proposing to construct a sauna with an area of 19 square meters, whereas 15 square meters is permitted, in the required 20-meter front yard, setback 11.88 meters from the high water mark, whereas a 15-meter setback is required, and separated 1 meter from the dryland boathouse, whereas a minimum separation of 5 meters is required. The sauna is 1 story with a height of 3.13 meters. The applicant is proposing a unique design in which the sauna has a floor area of 12 square meters, but an oversized roof with associated 1.82 meter overhang is being proposed, which covers 19 square meters. The reduced separation from the boathouse screens the sauna and makes it less visible from the water. The elevation of the land increases as the distance from the shoreline increases. Therefore, at a 5-meter separation from the boathouse, the sauna would be located on higher grounds and likely become more visible. The sauna's location behind the existing boathouse, combined with the presence of mature trees and the granite rock mats at the shoreline, will make it difficult to view. The applicant has informed staff that the cladding on the sauna will age quickly to a pewter gray color, which staff anticipate will blend with the granite rock. Planning staff have completed a detailed analysis of the variances to the zoning bylaw being requested and are recommending approval subject to conditions. The committee can either approve or deny the variances. The committee can defer the application to a later date if additional information is required to come to a decision. Thank you.
One letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required. 2 letters of support were received from the Madawaska Club of Go Home Bay and Alan Redfern, and 1 letter was received from the Severn Sound Environmental Association, stating they do not have any comments as the property is outside the Severn Sound watershed portion of the township.
Is the applicant present?
Yes, I'm Ian McDonald. I'm the applicant. Well, I don't know. It's pretty straightforward. I don't want to take time unnecessarily. There are 4 variances requested. They're well documented. They're supported by the planning department, by the Madawaska Club Land Use Committee, a letter from Peter Folds, who's the chair of that committee. There's a letter of support from Alan Redfern, who's across the bay looking directly at our property. And there's another letter of support that did not get to the township. I could read it very briefly. It's positive.
If there are some questions,
sure.
We
yes.
can just direct them
yeah.
to you if that's it. Is there any member of the public present that wishes to ask a question or make a comment on this application? Seeing none present?
There is one online.
There's one online?
Mr. Folds.
Okay, well, that's, why don't I see? Okay, we see Peter Folds is online. Is there anything you wish to add to the comments we've received, Mr. Folds?
Yes, thank you. I'm here on behalf of the Madawaska Club of Go Home Bay, and I have submitted written comments, and I won't repeat what's in that letter. But I just wanted to add that the design and location of this structure was carefully thought out with consideration for the policy objectives in the official plan for the Go Home Bay waterfront community. And as the planner has pointed out, it will be mostly invisible from the water, and it will have a negligible impact on the landscape. And this is the very reason why the zoning bylaw is set up the way it is for this kind of structure in the front yard. That is, to require a public process of review, and it's to encourage exactly this kind of thoughtful approach to the design and location of the structure. And we hope that this approach taken by the applicant in this case will serve as an example to others. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you for those comments. And with that, I will close the public portion of the meeting and bring the application before the committee for any questions or comments. And I see a hand up from Member Graziano. Please.
Thank you. Through you, Chair. On the merits, I absolutely agree with this application, and just having come from the Nordic regions and experiencing sauning myself, proximity to the waterways or the water is key. So I do agree with the application, and per the comments made by the letters as well as the applicant, I'm in favor of this. Thank you.
Thank you. And I see a hand up from Member Matthews.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Some of you know I'm a big believer in community plans. I'm very involved in it. And when I hear support from Madawaska Club, that carries a lot of weight. And the previous application that 6 Mile Lake community was against, I think we need to put a lot of weight into those plans. So I would support this application.
Thank you. Are there any other questions or comments by the committee? Okay, seeing none, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Graziano, seconded by Member Schmidt. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variances requested under minor variance application A25-17. 1, a sauna with a floor area of 19 square meters, whereas section 4.1.12.5 permits a sauna with a floor area of 15 square meters. 2, a sauna in the required front yard, 20 meters, whereas section 4.1.12.5 does not permit a sauna in the required front yard in the Go Home Bay coastal waterfront community. 3, a sauna located 1 meter from the boathouse, whereas section 4.1.8 requires an accessory building to be set back at least 5 meters from all other buildings. And 4, that a sauna setback of 11.88 meters from the high water mark, whereas section 4.1.12.5 requires a minimum setback of 15 meters from the high water mark. And subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. 2, that the proposed sauna be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out in the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And 3, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of the decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Our next minor variance application is A25-19 for 209 Sunrise Trail. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the subject property has an area of 6,850.9 square meters and a frontage of approximately 85 meters on Gloucester Pool in the Trent Severn Waterway. The lands are designated waterfront and zoned shoreline residential type 1. A portion of the lands at the rear have an extreme wildfire hazard rating, and the lands are identified as having high to very high archaeological potential. The shoreline contains type 2 fish habitat. The lands are developed with a detached dwelling, in-water boathouse, dock with a boat lift, sauna, and a shed. The property boundaries are characterized by mature trees, and the majority of the lands are grass-covered, with 2 connecting gravel driveways leading to the dwelling and shed. The purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to facilitate the construction of a detached garage with an increased height and floor area, legalize the location and size of the sauna, permit an increased dock width and shoreline activity area, as well as increased lot coverage. A minor variance was received in 2014 to increase the maximum lot coverage to 10.2% and facilitated the construction of the detached dwelling. The proposed detached garage is replacing the existing shed and also contains a storage room, attached carport, and outdoor dry bar. The garage has a height of 5.18 meters, whereas 4.5 meters is permitted, and a floor area of 135.59 square meters, whereas 112 square meters is permitted. The detached garage also increases the lot coverage from 10.2% to 11.7%. The garage will be screened from view due to the presence of mature trees in both the side and front yards. The sauna was constructed by a previous owner of the property, and the applicant was informed by another resident in the area that it has been in existence since the 1950s. However, the applicant is proposing to legalize the sauna through this minor variance. The sauna has a setback of 3.93 meters, whereas 15 meters is required from the front lot line, and a floor area of 15.87 square meters, whereas 15 square meters is permitted. The difference in floor area is minimal and visually negligible. The sauna is the only structure in the front yard, is screened from view, and complies with the minimum side yard setbacks. The applicant received a building permit and Trent 7 waterway permit for a boathouse and a dock. However, the boat lift was not included on the permit plans, and the two structures were not connected. As such, the dock has a width of 7.23 meters, whereas 3.1 meters is permitted. To confirm, the dock and boat lift require approval from Parks Canada, and staff have included this as a condition. The increased dock width enables safe access by connecting the main dock to the boathouse dock. Without this connection, users would have to traverse granite rock and uneven terrain along the natural shoreline to access the main dock. And that's pictured here. Shoreline activity areas are permitted provided they do not exceed 25% of the natural state shoreline area and have a maximum cumulative width of 25% of the shoreline length. With a shoreline frontage of 85 meters, the property is permitted a shoreline activity area width of 21.25 meters. The combined width of the sauna, boathouse, and dock is 20.85 meters. However, there is an additional seating area with water access further along the shoreline, bringing the total shoreline activity width to 33 meters. As supported by photos taken from the water, the second shoreline activity area that necessitates the variance has minimal visual impact. It is barely noticeable as it contains no shoreline structures and is framed by vegetation. This area also provides safe access to shallow water away from the dock and watercrafts. To uphold the intent of the zoning bylaw, staff recommend a condition requiring the property owner to renaturalize a portion of the shoreline where the second shoreline activity area is located. The official plan states that the character of the waterfront designation is directly related to the relationship between the water body and the adjacent land, as well as its historic and recent development patterns. It further notes that this character will be maintained by preserving the overall low density of built form and development, while generally retaining a natural and undeveloped shoreline appearance. However, properties at this end of Sunrise Trail appear to be developed with large dwellings, ranging from approximately 37 to 6,500 square feet, accompanied by accessory garages, cabanas, and shoreline structures. In this neighborhood, dwellings are dominant, typically sited close to the water, with garages located in the rear yard. Docks generally range from 20 to 32 meters in length and are commonly configured in L or U shapes, while boathouses typically feature 2 bays. Shorelines are often manicured and landscaped, with most properties containing multiple shoreline activity areas. Boat lifts are also a common feature. Staff are of the opinion that the development on the subject lands, including the landscape shoreline, boathouse, boat lift, and U-shaped dock, along with the second seating area and water access, reflects and will continue to be compatible with the established character of the neighborhood. Considering the shoreline development and character of this neighborhood, staff are recommending approval of the variances regarding the width of the dock and the shoreline activity areas on the conditions that Parks Canada approval is received and 10 square meters of land where the second shoreline access is located is restored to a natural state through planting of native vegetation. Staff conducted a detailed analysis of applicable planning legislation outlined in the associated report and are recommending approval of the variances pertaining to the garage and sauna as well. The committee can either approve or deny the proposed variances. The committee can defer the application to a later date if additional information is required to come to a decision. Note that staff have included 2 resolutions for the committee to consider. In the event that Parks Canada does not approve the dock and boat lift, the variances pertaining to the garage and sauna will not be impacted by the applicant being unable to fulfill the condition. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, has there been correspondence in this application?
1 letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required, and 3 letters of support were received from Nadine Bruce, Patrick Mayer, and Yellow Goat Design.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or their agent, and do they wish to add any comments in addition to what the planner has provided?
I think that the planner pretty much summed up everything that we're looking to achieve here today. So
Thank
no
you.
further comments.
I'm going to ask you to stand by then in case there are any questions. Is there any member of the public who wishes to address the committee on this application? Either present or online? I see no one online. Okay. Seeing none, I will close the public portion of the application and bring the matter before the committee for any questions or comments. And I see a hand up from Member Graziano.
Thank you, and through you, Chair. I want to confirm to the committee today that Ms. Wanfer's assessment of the area is correct. I know the area quite well. The property in the development here is not uncharacteristic of the area. It's very much aligned with the cottages that are there. I also cycle with a few from Sunrise Trail as well. So I do know the area quite well, and I think that this would not create any impact and or any challenges, as we've heard. I believe others have already confirmed this. So I do support this application. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? Member Ribbit.
Yes, thank you. I just had a question regarding the variance for the dock. Was a building permit issued by the township for the dock?
Yes.
Through the chair, there were, excuse me, let me try that again. There was a permit from the building department issued for docks, one being associated with a boathouse and one being separated, being perpendicular to the shoreline. They were not attached at that time. So to clarify, what you're seeing today is not what was approved to the building permit process.
Oh, so the owner disregarded the approved plans and built something other than what was approved?
Through the chair, to some extent.
To some extent.
But I do have a
Like
site
the
plan.
4.2 meters, like I said, or is it just because they were joined?
Because they were joined.
Through the chair, the original permit did not illustrate the connection of the dock as well as the dock and boathouse. Whereas now they are connected and a boat lift has been designed between the two. So the connection as well as the boat lift were not a part of the permit process.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions? Member Jarvis.
Yeah, just a comment. I see here that a number of things have already been granted to this homeowner in the past, and I don't see why we should be allowing anything further to go on this property. It looks like enough's already been done. I agree with Member Graziano's comments about the area being that development being like that in that area, but I'm very unhappy to see that kind of development in cottage country up here, but that's just the way that is. I don't see why we should be allowing anything more. And the fact that somebody says that they got to put in decking to avoid the treacherous walking on the granite shores of our municipality drives me to distraction, because I mean, that's why we're here. So I have real problems with the whole concept of granting anything more than has already been granted to this homeowner. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Just a member Schmidt, you had a comment?
Respecting both comments from both members of the committee here today, I believe that we all make choices when we select the body of waters that we want to be a part of. Everybody's vision of cottaging is different, and I think that's why somebody would choose to purchase something in Go Home or some of the very protected heritage districts, and then you have higher development, larger properties on Gloucester Pool, Georgian Bay Access. So I think we have to balance that we have areas that people can fit their shoe in, type of thing. So in that regard, I see where there is some consistency and conformity with this application. Granted, there's been a few pushes on a few things that didn't follow potentially the appropriate process, but hopefully today will bring things into line So, thank you.
Thank you. And just before we take a vote on this, I did visit the property, and the proposed development by this applicant, I think, will remain pretty much unnoticed. It's well back from the water, and certainly it's a subsidiary of the main structure itself, so I don't see any issues whatsoever. With that in mind, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Graziano and seconded by Member Matthews. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variances requested for a detached garage and sauna under minor variance application A25-19. One, that a maximum lot coverage of 11.7%, whereas a maximum of 10.2% is permitted. A detached garage with a height of 5.18 meters, whereas 4.5 meters is permitted. A detached garage with a ground floor area of 135.59 square meters, whereas 112 square meters is permitted. A sauna located in the front yard, whereas a sauna is permitted in the side or rear yard. A sauna with a floor area of 15.87 square meters, where 15 square meters is permitted. A sauna setback of 3.93 meters from the front lot line, whereas 15 meters is permitted. And 7, a shoreline activity area width of 33 meters, whereas a width of 21.25 meters is permitted. And subject to the following conditions: that the owner restore a minimum of 10 square meters of land where the second shoreline access is located to a natural state by planting native trees and/or plants no later than July 1 of 2026, for which the locations and species of native vegetation are to be identified on the landscape plan provided to the township for approval. And 2, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. 3, that the proposed detached garage be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out in the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And 4, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township, only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. And subsequent to what the planner presented, we have an addendum to that to resolution. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variance for the dock and boat lift under minor variance application A25-19. 1, for a dock having a width of 7.23 meters, whereas 3.1 meters is permitted, and subject to the following conditions. 1, that the owner obtain an approval or permit from Parks Canada for the dock and boat lift and provide such documentation to the planning department. And 2, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that's subject to this decision. And 3, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township, only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for being here. Our next application is A25-25 for 138 Lake Road. To the planner, please.
Through the chair, the subject property has an area of 2,113 square meters with a frontage of 36.11 meters on Baxter Lake. The lands are designated waterfront in both the district and township official plans, located on a narrow water body containing type 2 fish habitat with moderate to high archaeological potential and a low wildfire hazard rating. The property is zoned shoreline residential type 1. The property is developed with a detached dwelling with associated decks, dryland boathouse, E-shaped dock, and a gazebo. The gazebo will be removed. The front yard is characterized with a rather steep slope, having a long staircase down to the shoreline. Mature trees are scattered throughout, and a large granite rock mass with low-lying vegetation is a dominant feature. The septic system and a hydro easement are located in the rear yard, central to the property boundaries. Beyond the easement, further into the rear yard, the lands are forested. The purpose and effect of the application is to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to facilitate the construction of a sunroom, garage, and storage lot, which will increase the lot coverage, the gross floor area, width, and height of the dwelling, and requires variance to the definition of attached. The proposed development has a setback of 23 meters from the lake. Staff understand that the removal of tree cover or vegetation is not required to facilitate the development. The applicant has made an effort to attach the development to the existing dwelling via a new sunroom at the rear. The applicant explained that attaching the development to share the east wall with the existing dwelling would not be feasible, as the current floor plan places the kitchen and a bathroom along that wall, and creating access would require significant renovations. When viewed from the rear yard, the development presents as a single detached dwelling with an attached garage. From the front yard, although less pronounced, the development maintains the appearance of a single detached dwelling. The proposed development footprint includes a 12.53 square meter sunroom and an 83.61 square meter garage, increasing the lot coverage by 4.58%. The lot is undersized, having nearly half the lot area identified for the SR1 zone, which permits a maximum lot coverage of 7%, which, to put this into perspective, allows for a dwelling footprint just shy of 1,600 square feet with no decks or accessory buildings. The existing dwelling footprint, deck, and boathouse have a coverage of 6.72%. The applicant is proposing an increase of 155.5 square meters to the gross floor area, whereas 102.52 square meters is permitted. Unlike most of our waterfront communities, gross floor area is not explicitly regulated in the SR1 zone. Consideration may be had for the fact that only a small portion of the east side or corner of the dwelling is within 20 meters of the front lot line, making it subject to expansion limitations for legal non-complying shoreline dwellings. Dwellings constructed within 20 meters of the high water mark are permitted to increase in height by 1 meter to a maximum of 6. The SR1 zone also limits building height to 8 meters. To clarify, height is measured from the average natural grade at the front of the existing dwelling to the middle of the proposed dormer roof, resulting in a proposed height of 8.47 meters. The basement wall abuts granite rock, preventing expansion to this floor, and the rear of the dwelling is in close proximity to the hydro easement and septic system. Therefore, the applicant is proposing to expand into the east side yard off the main floor, increasing the width by 10.97 meters, whereas 6 is permitted. Same as the official plan policies, the intent of the lot coverage, height, width, and floor area are to limit the size and presence of development to protect the natural heritage and uphold the character of the waterfront designation by retaining the overall low density of built form and development. Staff are of the opinion that the sunroom and garage do not result in overdevelopment, limiting the number of buildings on the property to two, being the dwelling and boathouse, and citing the proposed development at increased setbacks, despite being an undersized lot. Furthermore, the large granite rock hill next to the basement of the dwelling will remain a dominant feature of the shoreline, and the development will be screened by mature trees. Planning staff have completed a detailed analysis and are recommending approval subject to conditions. I wasn't done.
When letters received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required and subject review will be done at that time. And one letter of support was received from Ellen McFedrin.
Thank you. Is the applicant present or their agent? And if so, would they please step forward and identify their name and address?
Good morning, everybody. My name is Victoria Hoffman here on behalf of Flow Drawings, 3 Violet Drive, Port Severn. The presentation is pretty thorough as normal. I guess just a couple of points to emphasize, which Shania did mention, but the existing cottage has a 19.6 meter setback, and it's just the corner of the original dwelling. If it had a 20-meter setback, that 0.4 of a difference, the width in the gross floor area wouldn't have been restricted to this extent or restricted at all, I don't believe. We had gotten a survey when we first started this to make sure because we figured it was going to be right on the mark, and it was a little bit disappointing when we realized we were right there, but we've worked through it anyways. The expansion to this existing dwelling is quite challenging. On the left side of the dwelling, we're really close to the lot line. Obviously, we can't go forward because we're right on the 20-meter mark-ish. The back, there's a septic, a hydro easement, and then even on the other side of the driveway, it drops down really quickly. So even like moving hydro or septic, which is something we did chat about, isn't possible, which really just left us that right side of the dwelling. From a height perspective, the building height is taken to the front grade at the front of the dwelling, which is 9.5 feet lower than the grade of the garage is going to be. So we have to take the height from down there, but the garage itself is going to be up on a higher grade. We're also taking the building height to the dormers, which will be the more prominent roof from the water, but it's also the smaller roof. The lot coverage, it is an undersized lot, but we're removing as many accessory structures as we can. We're taking down the gazebo, bunkie, and firewood shelter. And the attached variance that we're seeking, that's just one that we tried to navigate, but we didn't really get it sorted. The property owners, to reconfigure, they have to move mechanical and their kitchen and everything to be able to put the garage right up against the existing dwelling. So that's why we've kind of created that gap in between. And then it is attached at the rear, but that doesn't meet the definition. So I'm here to answer any questions. Nate Becker and his sister Lindsay are online, but they don't really have anything to add, but they're available for questions as well.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any member of the public present that wishes to add comments to this application? Seeing none present or online, I'll close the public portion of the application and bring the matter. Sorry? Yeah, Victoria just mentioned that they're just listening.
Yeah.
Okay, I will bring the matter before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Jarvis.
Thank you. Through the chair, just make the observation that the 200 plus square meters is quite a change from the 800 plus square meters that was in the previous application, and just wanted to note that. I do have a question on page 5 of your presentation, if you would mind bringing that up. The photo there indicates to me that there's been some rock blasting. One, what is the permit process in this case? Were we aware of it? And I'm just curious to know what the background is on that.
Through the chair, the blasting took place beyond the 20-meter setback, so it wouldn't be subject to the blasting bylaw.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Schmidt, seconded by Member Jarvis. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment hereby approves the following variances requested under minor variance application A25-25. 1, a maximum lot coverage of 11.3%, whereas 7% is permitted. A gross floor area increase of 106%, whereas an increase of 70% is permitted. An expansion to the width of the dwelling by 10.97 meters, whereas an expansion of 6 meters to the width is permitted. A maximum building height of 8.47 meters, whereas an increase of 1 meter to a maximum of 6 meters is permitted, and the shoreline residential type 1 zone permits a maximum building height of 8 meters. And 5, the development shares a sunroom with an existing dwelling, whereas structural support or complete Enclosure for a division wall or wall shared in common is required in accordance with definition attached in section 19 and subject to the following conditions. 1, that the gazebo be removed from the land. 2, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from the Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And 3, that the development be substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches permitted approved by the committee. And 4, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved. Our next application is number A25-26 for 490 Crooked Bay Road. To the planner, please.
Thank you, and through the chair. Subject property has an area of 1.4 acres with frontage of 49 meters onto Long Lake area of 6 Mile Lake. The subject lands contain areas of vegetation at the rear and interior sides, with the majority of the interior of the property being cleared and maintained. The property currently contains a dwelling, detached garage, sleeping cabin, gazebo, in-water boathouse, and dock. In order to develop the property with the dwelling expansion as proposed, a variance is required to address section 6.4.1C. This section speaks to the maximum gross floor area requirements for the 6 Mile Lake residential zone. The existing dwelling is considered legally non-complying, having a gross floor area of 282.85 square meters, whereas a gross floor area of 275 square meters is permitted. The proposed variance before you today would see the gross floor area being increased by 25.79 square meters, bringing the total to 308.64 square meters. Subject property has a legal non-complying lot coverage of 12.8%, whereas a lot coverage of 8% is permitted in the SR6 zone. The proposal seeks to expand the gross floor area of the existing legal non-complying dwelling while removing the accessory gazebo. This will result in overall reduction in lot coverage, bringing the lot coverage to 12.7%. Due to the existing lot coverage being considered legal non-complying and the issue of non-compliance being improved upon in this case, the variance related to lot coverage is not required. The area of the proposed expansion is clear vegetation, being within an existing landscaped area. The expansion is not expected to conflict with the location of neighboring sightlines or amenity areas. The gross floor area expansion is occurring through the creation of additional enclosed space for 2 bedrooms, one on the main floor and one in the basement, and 3 covered decks on the main floor. As per the definition of gross floor area within the Township of Georgian Bay zoning bylaw, included in gross floor area are porches, screen porches, sunrooms, and any area under a roof overhang where the E projection is greater than 1.2 meters from the exterior wall. Although these covered decks do not represent an increase in indoor living space or a decrease in front yard setback to the shoreline, they do contribute to the calculation of gross floor area. The existing foundation of the dwelling will be retained. While the dwelling contains a walkout basement, much of the basement is below the 1.8 meters in height, therefore being considered crawl space and excluded from the calculation of gross floor area. As was displayed here, removing the existing Muskoka room and replacing it with a proposed bedroom will not alter the width or floor area of the dwelling footprint. However, this replacement will increase the foundation setback from the shoreline. The purpose and intent of the provisions regarding dwelling size within the 6 Mile Lake inland waterfront community is to limit built form, protecting visual character of the waterfront community and maintaining an appropriate balance between natural and built form. The current development of the subject property is considered legal non-compliant, and visually, the subject property will be minimally changed from what is existing. Overall, there will be a reduction in visual impact of built form as the dwelling width will not be increased and the accessory structure gazebo will be removed. The committee can either approve or deny the variance being requested. The committee may also defer the application to a later date if they feel additional information is required to come to a decision. Planning staff have completed a detailed analysis of the variance to the zoning bylaw and are requesting that it be approved subject to conditions. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Clerk, has there been any correspondence in this application?
One letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required and the septic system appears to be undersized. And one letter of support was received from Craig Fraser.
Thank you. Is the applicant present either in person or online, and do they wish to add any comments to what the planner? I do see a gentleman online.
Yes.
You have a comment, please identify yourself with your name and address.
Thank you. My name is Stefan Sherbach. I'm with Planscape Inc.
Sorry, we can't hear you very well. Is there
Okay.
you can increase the volume there?
I will try mine.
Okay, we're increasing the volume on this end.
How's that?
That's much better.
Great. Excellent. Let me just close this here. My name is Stefan Sherbach with Planscape Inc., 104 Kimberley Avenue in Bracebridge, P1L1Z8. I think I'm still clear to wish the committee members a good morning. I'm here to speak on behalf of the applicants. We were retained by the owners to assist with the subject of the minor variance application. They're online attending the meeting as well in case there's any questions that I can't answer. I've read the staff report. I wanted to thank Mr. Donaldson for his help throughout this process and for his detailed report. We've been back and forth a number of times to get this proposal in line with the applicable planning policies. We've had a few revisions, again, just based on our comments. And again, thanks very much for his direction. The subject property is topographically unique. It is a current property that has legal non-complying lot coverage as well as a legal non-complying gross floor area for the dwelling. I think one of the great components of this property is the dwelling is further back than the minimum 20-meter setback. It's set back further from the water at approximately 25.8. So one good aspect of this subject property. It's obviously developed with the main use and cottage and has a number of several legally existing accessory dwellings. We fully concur with Mr. Donaldson that this development fits well within the distinct character of the surrounding area and neighborhood. The site is well vegetated along the rear and interior side lot lines between the neighbors. Central portion is fairly clear, but as evidenced by the site photographs, there's quite a bit of large exposed bedrock outcropping in that area. The applicants have tried to plant up some of the areas in front of the dwelling. You can see in the photos themselves, there's a garden and some lots of shrubs that are attempting to grow larger and again to screen some of the built form. The subject proposal is utilizing the exact same footprint that exists today. There's a slight alteration where it might move forward a little bit, but they're really trying to ensure that the design is really going to fit right on top of what you see today. The proposed addition will be constructed on the foundation for the most part. There's a proposed deck expansion that's located in an already cleared area. So basically there's no vegetation removal that's going to occur through this expansion. The minor variance has been specifically submitted to permit an increase in the gross floor area from the permitted 275 to 308 square meters. The attached deck will be marginally closer, but again, this is all fully set back from the minimum 20-meter setback to the water. To further support the application, there's an existing gazebo that will be removed, which will reduce the overall lot coverage, as Mr. Donaldson duly noted, and the built form will be improved, and the current issue of non-compliance is also bringing it slightly closer to the bylaw standards. As noted in the staff report, lot coverage is not the subject of the minor variance application, as all the structures were legally established. Improvements to the septic system will also be considered at the building permit stage. This is in response to the comments that were submitted by your chief building official. And finally, you are receipt in a letter of support from the immediate neighbor, the Frasers right next door. In conclusion, Mr. Chair and members of the committee, we share the same professional planning opinion as your staff, where the application clearly meets the statutory tests under section 45(2) of the Planning Act. The application is desirable, in my opinion, for the appropriate development of the property. It will not result in any adverse impacts on the surrounding properties and immediate neighborhood. We've reviewed the conditions that are in front of you as well and have no problems including them should the committee wish to support this application. And I would respectfully request the committee's support. I'm here to answer any questions that you have. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Susserback. Mr. White, is there anything you wish to add to those comments?
No, I have nothing to add at this time.
Okay, thank you very much. Is there any member of the public present or online that wish to comment on this application? Okay, seeing none, I'll close the public portion of the meeting and bring the matter before the committee for any questions or comments. And we'll begin with Member Jarvis.
Thank you, through the chair. There's nothing about this application that bothers me that much. I'm really curious though, the property immediately, I'll say to the south, it looks like you have to go through this property to get to. Is there a right of way to the neighbors to the, I guess to the south? If you're looking from the shorelines to the left-hand side, there's another property there, a neighboring property. Is there road access to that property? And is it through this property?
I can answer that question if I may. It is the neighboring property does not cross this property. There's no easement. It is separate. I believe some of the lot lines on your map are slightly shifted and maybe show it differently than it is in real life.
Thank you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay. Are there any further questions or comments? Member Schmidt.
Through you, Chair Hill, thank you. Just wanted to say that our family originated down Long Lake, renting property down there, and have driven by that place since I was probably on my mother's lap. And the previous owners over the years just sort of did the creep thing, and it just kept getting bigger and all the rest. And I think the net result when this gets re-brought together into one cohesive package, I think it's going to be a net improvement to the lake when it's completed. So look forward to seeing it take shape.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions or comments? Seeing none, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Jarvis and seconded by Member Matthews. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A25-26 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 as amended for 490 Crooked Bay Road to facilitate the expansion of a legally existing dwelling as described below. 1. An increase in maximum gross floor area from 308.64 square meters, whereas a gross floor area of 282.85 square meters currently exists, and whereas the maximum gross floor area of 275 square meters is permitted. The above noted approval is subject to the following conditions. 1. That the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And 2, that the proposed detached dwelling be substantially and proportionally in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And 3, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please signify by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved.
Thank you, everyone.
Our next application is A25-27 for 169 Lagoon Road. To the planner, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The subject property is comprised of 0.55 hectares with a frontage on Go Home Lake of 73.46 meters. The property contains areas of large granite outcrops and both deciduous and coniferous mature trees. At the present time, there is a 137.50 square meter single detached dwelling on the property, which was constructed in 1961, according to MPAC. It's a large waterfront lot with very little developed areas. As you will note in the aerial photograph, the property lines in our GeoHub mapping is very skewed. Both the owner and the agent met with planning staff in early May 2025 to discuss the proposal. It was determined that a minor variance would be required to allow the proposed garage in the preferred location. The topography of the property makes it extremely difficult to position the proposed. Oh no. What happened? It just died. It just died. Oh dear. I apologize. Is it not plugged in? Why did it completely just die? I can't.
Oh, right. So smart. Do you?
I apologize, first of all, it's just died on me. So as stated, I did meet with the applicants prior and their developer prior to them submitting for a minor variance application. Based on the topography of the lot, and I don't know how many of you went out to look at it, but there is a lot of areas on the property that make it very difficult to put a garage at this point, based on the fact that there is this rock outcrop that literally traverses the entire property. They're basically going to take the garage and put it up to that. So that's why it has to be closer to this side yard. So no trees to be removed. It's ready to go. And I am recommending approval of the application subject to the recommended conditions.
One letter was received from Kelly Nicholson, Chief Building Official, stating building permits will be required and setbacks to septic and hydro line will need to comply.
There we go. Yes, thank you very much. My name is Mark Rogowski from MERTEC, and I represent the Jacobs on this plan. The only thing that I would add is with respects to the CBO's comments that we will properly address them. There's an existing hydro line that services the building, which we're not 100% sure if there's going to be any encroachment, and if there is, we will justify it by rerouting the hydro panel. And that's all I have to offer. Thank you.
Wow, what a change. Just curious, I don't recall the correspondence from the immediate neighbor who's affected by the side yard setback. Did we hear from that neighbor?
Actually, I meant to mention that it was in my presentation, that the owner had notified us this morning that there was another letter of support for this. So I almost guarantee that it's that neighbor. Can I confirm that? Yes, it is that neighbor. Yes.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Thank you. Are there any further questions or comments by the committee? Okay. Having visited the property, as you mentioned, Ms. McKay, I agree with your summary. It seems to meet all the requirements as described in your description. And with that, I will read the resolution. It is moved by Member Graziano and seconded by Member Rivet Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment approves minor variance application A25-27 to zoning bylaw 2014-75 as amended by bylaw 2023-83 for 169 Lagoon Road to seek relief from the zoning bylaw to facilitate the construction of a detached garage with a reduced interior yard setback and an increase in height as follows. The maximum height of detached garage permitted is 4.5 meters, proposed is 6 meters, and minimum interior side yard setback permitted is 5 meters and proposed is 2.2 meters. Subject to the following conditions. One, that the owner provide a property tax certificate or correspondence from the Township Financial Services indicating that all property taxes have been paid up to date with respect to the property that is subject to this decision. And two, that the proposed detached garage is substantially and proportionately in conformity with the dimensions as set out on the application and sketches submitted and approved by the committee. And three, that the owner acknowledges and agrees that there is no human habitation permitted within the detached garage pursuant to Township of Georgian Bay zoning bylaw 2014-75. And four, that the appropriate zoning certificate and building permit be obtained within 3 years from the date of the decision from the township only after the committee's decision becomes final and binding. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried and the application is approved. Thank you. I'd like to thank everybody for participating in today's public hearing. I have one additional resolution. It is moved by Member Jarvis and seconded by Member Schmidt. Be it resolved that the Township of Georgian Bay Committee of Adjustment does now adjourn at 12:15 p.m. until August 15, 2025 at 10 a.m. or at the call of the chair. All those in favor, please indicate by raising your hand. The motion is carried and the meeting is adjourned.